Welcome to Voices Beyond the Spectrum. Real stories, brave voices, radiant perspectives. This is the podcast for parents and caregivers of autistic and neurodivergent children and teens. I'm your host, and each week we hold space for honest conversations, shared struggles, and hard-won victories from those who truly live it. You're not alone, your story matters, and it starts here. Welcome back to another episode of Voices Beyond the Spectrum, Resource Hub Edition, where we highlight the organizations, professionals, and community partners making a real difference in our neurodivergent individuals and their families. Today, I am truly honored to introduce our guest, Monique Arredondo, the Program Director of Disability Services at Care Partners. Since 2018, Monique has been a central part to Care Partners' leadership team, helping develop and strengthen programs that support individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities across Southern California. Her background spans home care, care coordination, and disability services, giving her a comprehensive understanding of what families need and what high-quality compassion support looks like. As program director, she oversees daily operations, compliance, staffing, and service delivery with strong focus on person-centered care and community partnership. Her approach is hands-on, mission-driven, and rooted in empathy, ensuring every individual receives dignity, respect, and individualized support. Monique, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm excited for our listeners to learn more about Care Partners and the incredible work your team does. To begin, Monique, can you please share a little bit about the Care Partners and what inspired the creation of the organization?
Absolutely, Karla, and thank you for having me today. I'm really excited to be able to connect with you and share our story. So Care Partners was founded in 2016, and it was founded by Rodney Burris and Randy Platt. And they came together really with the concept of bridging the gap. Rodney I think he refers to himself as a professional client. He has gone through several different medical experiences, and he really can account for the individuals that positively impacted what that experience was for him. And Randy has really been in healthcare, I think, since he was a teenager, right? And they brought this in the time that they worked in healthcare. They recognized that there was just a need for there to be a more cohesive care experience. And that's really where it came from. We were founded really around the private pay in home care model. And that quickly expanded because, as you can experience, once you get into the weeds of how care is delivered, there's further needs. And I think very quickly, and even to this day, they practice this, they see a need, they fill it. So we started in private pay, and then we moved into our transitional medicine group, and then that evolved into our community-based partnerships, and it's just kind of expanded from there. And our work with the Department of Disability Services, I'm pretty sure it started around 2018 also. And that, I think, is heavily rooted in them identifying a need and filling it. And they also have their personal experiences with it. I know that Randy has some family members that have received this care as well. And it was an opportunity for him to, I think he would say, pay back what has been gifted to him and his family through these services. And it has taken off from there. It has been a really beautiful experience, and we're going to be celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It seems like so much more time has gone by. And when we started, we were in this tiny little office here in Irvine. And to think about all of the families we've served in that time, it expanded not only from Orange County. Now we're in the Inland Empire. Now we're in San Diego, and we're in LA, and we're talking about further expansion opportunities. And all of it, what I'm most proud of, all of it is heavily rooted in continuing to identify needs and fill them to the best of our ability. And it's fun. It's one of the most enjoyable cultures I've been able to be a part of. I know that our staff gets to solve problems all day, and they take a lot of pride in that. So I trust that with those being our basis, we're going to continue to be able to positively impact a lot of families.
That's amazing. And I know Care Partners provide several forms of support for the families. What services do you find families ask for and need most often?
With the different services that we offer, it's really rooted, I think, just about having a resource that will listen first and foremost. Someone who can really take in what their needs are and then be able to deploy solutions, not just force upon what the services they offer. When we learn about what families need, it's often a subject matter expert that's going to be able to come in and help identify the care needed for their situation and their loved one. And most oftentimes that is respite. They need someone who can come in, allow them to slot back into their natural relationship to the person receiving care with a competent partner. And we're really happy to be able to fill that and help support the care team around the person receiving care.
That is amazing. And for our families hearing about the agency for the first time, who usually qualifies for the services and how can the family begin the process?
This is one of my most exciting answers to be able to give you. We're pretty much able to service anyone in the Medicaid Medi-Cal service line. We do also offer private pay, and we are also vendored with Regional Center and a couple of other state and federally funded programs. So this is where I'm proud to say we will find a place for you to get the care that you need. If it's not us, we have an extensive resource network, and we're happy to give your information over for you to make an informed decision and decide which way you want to go.
That's amazing. See, listeners out there, Monique will find a way. And with that being said, what are some of the common needs or challenges you see among our families, the families you serve?
Some of the highest level I need, I think, is a trusted partner. And I know that sounds really conceptual, but it does look different. It's someone who is going to be able to, an agency that can provide a caregiver that shows up on time and is prepared. It could be a intake specialist that listens to the finer details of what a care plan is and is able to communicate that levels through. So I think listeners is really
Yes.
what it is.
Yes, definitely. And then families that want to understand the how behind the support, what makes the care partners model a little bit different from other care and support programs?
This is where I get to just gush about my team, Karla, because it's difference maker. And I talked about having professionals that already know their craft and function so well, and they're able to just find creative solutions. Our team is what makes the care delivery experience different. Whether you're speaking with one of our intake specialists, our reception, they're here because they want to be of service to the best of their ability, and they're given autonomy to do that. And they're educated in what we offer, so you don't have to repeat yourself 10 times, right? What makes us different is we're all really keyed in on what we offer and why the reality is why we offer it. Someone is going through a life quality change. We've got to understand what that looks like for them. We've got to understand what is needed to the best of our ability and deploy the resources available. And in that, I think it's really clear that they care. So whether it is us knowing where to park when a caregiver arrives to the home or knowing the right nuances of an authorization, we're well versed in what we do and we're proud to do the small details to the best of our ability. And I think that makes the care delivery experience so different.
That's amazing. And it truly does. And I think like looking back, about the book I wrote about the professionals, coming in there and working as a team and being competent when you go in there and work with our families to be able to not be more of a burden, but truly come in there and assist. And I think that's basically what you're speaking about of your team, being so well trained that they are coming in and immediately helping the families, which is, I mean, it's a blessing for our families because a lot of them are, extremely already stressed, hence why they want the respite, so it's great to hear that. And then I know caregiving looks different in every home and every culture. How does your team support diverse caregiving needs and different levels of independence?
This is where I want to recognize our intake specialist, Alicia and Nid, and their ability to ask very open-ended questions. Tell us what it looks like in your home, right? Because we have an idea of what it looks like in our personal lives, but the reality is that's not effective when we're doing an intake and we're trying to create a person-centered care plan for respite services. So I think the questions they ask, they both have experience in behavioral therapy, and they're able to apply that knowledge to the intake process and dig in where there might be some more specific things that we really need to build out situation by situation. And yeah, I think that the intake piece is really the biggest.
But so through that intake piece, you're also able to kind of dissect a little bit also their cultural needs, whatever, and make it really an individualized plan for the families, correct?
Totally. And that also has a heavy influence on how we recruit, right? We want to be able to bring caregivers on that not only can complete the onboarding, but that are able to embrace that. That's a really big part. When we talk about providing dignified care, the reality is it feels like a seamless experience. There are 2 extra hands supporting what day-to-day activities look like. It's not us having to make accommodations. We really want to try to blend in as much as we can. So much of that has to do with our incredible recruiting team, really finding people that care and want to align themselves with solutions and being a benefit, much like you talked about, not being a burden. Yeah, it's something that's top of mind, and it's something that we also celebrate here in our workplace too. And I think it makes us better at making decisions. I think it makes it a far more enjoyable environment when you're able to be accepted as your most authentic self. It's not as exhausting, right? You're able to come in, do what you do. And I think it's human, right? And what we practice inside the Care Partners walls, we want to have felt into the community. And I think through recruiting and intake, that's the two best ways we can apply it.
I can't agree with you more. I feel a lot of organizations that are truly there with empathy, it all starts with the culture within the organization. And I feel based on what you say and what I've seen with your teams when we have seen you in outreach events, you really not only say it, you show it, in those events. And it's beautiful to see that there's organizations that really care and want to support, and that's why I was so excited for this podcast, to bring you on and for people to know more about care partners. So our families, the continuity of the care is so important for our families. How does care partners help maintain the consistency and a more long-term connection?
Really, that's number one priority for us. So I think we're really honest in the intake process and the onboarding for new clients. We aren't going to hit a grand slam out of the park. We're going to need to learn, right? And sometimes we have to have the conversation about wants versus needs. And we have to be able to navigate that by allowing for some space to try things out. And continuity of care is one of our biggest goals. And we have a client care coordinating team, Hilda and Vanna, that is their number one priority because that also benefits the caregivers, right? And they have dual groups that they're trying to serve in that. I think a lot of it is understanding at the root what the care goals are.
Mhm.
And our client care coordinators having extensive knowledge of what our caregiver roster looks like. And they are looking to do matchmaking, really. And they're looking to understand which personalities are going to mesh well. And then when you get a level deeper, we also have to recognize there are needs for both involved, right? The client has a schedule that they're trying to get, and the caregiver has hours that they're trying to meet. So balancing those two pieces, sometimes we do have to have harder conversations that say, if we have a as needed schedule, that may not work as well. And you truly won't feel the true benefit respite is designed to be. So how can we make something that is more continuous, that a caregiver can take on, and then now you have a familiar face coming in. Now you don't have to go through the care plan every time you have a shift coming up. You're able to create relationships and a higher degree of familiarity. One of the things that we've recognized with respite is you're absolutely right. It is more stressful to have someone home sometimes. And we recognize across the first 5 shifts, it's kind of like the same first shift over and over again.
Mhm.
And by the 5th, now there's a higher level of familiarity and comfort for all involved. So how do we make those shifts happen in a more succinct amount of time? And how do we ensure that in that time, it's all progressive? We're learning how to identify potential triggers. We're learning about routine. We're creating trust from all involved. And then at that point, we might be able to make some changes. But I think that's the biggest focus for all involved.
Wow. I know as a parent, that's beautiful words to hear from a director from an organization because a lot of the times I can, I guess, speak on my behalf as a parent. You don't see that, in a lot of organizations, especially I remember when I first started with a couple respite companies, we would do a meetup, but a lot of the times they don't do matching. They don't do any of that. So I would basically utilize, honestly, respite with me being at home, still cleaning the house and not feeling comfortable, leaving my child with someone that I feel would not be able to take on my child's needs like I would to a certain degree. I mean, no one can replace a parent or a caregiver, but it does matter. The quality of training, the quality of support, the amount of empathy an individual comes into the household with, it matters significantly for us as parents. And it's amazing that an organization is really looking into all that. And not only from the people that come into the house, but from the director level, which is, I mean, yeah, it's amazing to hear.
Thank you. I think one of the kind of going back to Randy and Rodney's original approach, it's see a need, fill a need. right? And it's not about, I mean, there's business to be had, but we want to do good business. We want you to be proud of your partnership with us. And Randy has talked about he wants the experience to be a delight. And we think like how fun as an employee, how fun is it that we have this autonomy. We know what's expected of us on a functional level, and we get to help people get some time back. Like how many jobs allow you that? And we get to come up with creative solutions, and we get to have trust for people that unfortunately, much like you're talking about, respite is not an easy service to receive, let alone to be able to get someone to show up and all of these things, but to really gain trust from a mother in your case, to be able to receive the help and allow that to happen at a consistent frequency, those are the biggest wins. And we have morning roll calls and we have a Friday winner circle. And when we find the right pair and everyone involved kind of just like lets their shoulders relax and they're not so tight, they know that the pieces have fallen into place. Now it's just a matter of nurturing it. Those are the wins we celebrate.
Oh, that's amazing. So now we're going to take it to a little bit of the emotional. What brought you into this organization, Monique? What inspired you to join Care Partners and to go on this mission?
That is a good question. I think about this often. The organization has changed in the time that I've worked here. And every change, it's very clear it's not for sake of change, it's for sake of progress and evolution. And that is one of the things that attracted me most. You know, I think these videos might still be on our website and we should probably update them. There's a video, both of our founders did a video and they talked about why it mattered to them to provide the best care possible. And Randy's video also talked about the leaders that he had worked with and how so many of them were now C-level and they in their own right were winning and they were out. But what he was proud of was they're out there doing good. They're trusted people that he knows work hard and do the things that need to get done. And now they're leading other teams that are doing the same thing. So when I think about why I was first intrigued, it had a lot to do with that video. And through the changes, it's that we've never lost sight of what's important. I think that's a big reason why I've stayed on so much and why I think I have the best job in the world. And I've had several jobs at Care Partners, but we just get to keep helping people at a high level. And in an industry like home care, there are a lot of agencies out there. And it's kind of, I feel like you throw a rock, you're going to hit a home care. And when you are able to deliver care at such a high level, the reality is it levels up the industry and it's comfortable. It becomes comfortable being a disruptor because if you create a little competition, who benefits from it more than the clients and the caregivers, right? And I feel like we get to give people time back. We get to give people quality of life and what that looks like for them back. And I frankly didn't imagine myself doing this, but I can't imagine doing anything else. I love helping people. I love being able to do it at the level I can now because the reality is we serve probably over 1,200 clients right now. And when I started, maybe we served 500.
That's amazing.
And yeah, it's all about being able to give back and maintaining the quality and doing that. And it has been so much fun.
My gosh. Well, keep on doing what you're doing, Monique, because obviously you're doing something right. And so you have supported countless families over the years. Are there any success stories or meaningful experiences you feel comfortable sharing that highlight the impact of the team has made?
Yeah, we've been able to help a lot of people. I'm very blessed to kind of be rolling through a Rolodex in my head thinking about it. I think while I can't think of one specific one in this moment, I think it's where we get to help families understand and not feel judged when behaviors or diagnoses progress, right? And what that has looked like is we have parents, adult children that are they're seeing a different version of a loved one than they knew 3 months ago, a couple years ago, and we're able to receive it. And we're not necessarily able to normalize that, and I don't think that's the goal, but we're able to say that this is okay. This is where we're at now. Doesn't change any of our ability to do what we do best, and we're okay. You're okay. This is part of what the progress looks like. And you see like the embarrassment, the shame. You know, a lot of it is the fact that they're not able to do anything about it, but they have someone in the home that can. And they're able to go through their own grieving process or acceptance process of what that looks like. And it makes it a lot easier when we're not in the home too, right? Because now everyone just has compassion and empathy and understanding for what it looks like to need to have care.
That's amazing. Yeah. I'm a big advocate to, state out there that a diagnosis honestly doesn't just impact that one individual. It impacts the whole family. You know, like I said, I wrote the book on it to make sure, because I saw it with my own family and I understood what the hyper focusing of one child could do to the other child. I understood how my son went through regressions, what that cost the family or my partner, my husband, and just how to navigate that as a family and to have a team come in and support you understand that without you having to explain yourself. I mean, that's priceless. That's truly priceless for the families. And it's amazing that you train your staffs with not only with basic modules, but with actual information and really feed into the building of that empathy and that humanity in them, which is, I mean, I thank you. Thank you for doing that for the families. I have no words, to show appreciation in that behalf. And I know a partnership plays an important role with your work. How do the care partners collaborate, let's say, with a regional center, local agencies, and other community organizations?
Yeah. This is a big area of improvement for us, candidly. I think that we have done what we do well at a smaller scale and we're ready to level up a bit. And it starts with outreach. I mean, Karla, you and I met at a vendor fair. That was maybe one of two that we did that year.
Mhm.
And I think we have a very humble approach, right? We know that we do good work. Now we think the thought process has changed. How do we do more good work without diluting any part of it? And here I am today talking to you about the fact that we're ready to grow into it. And I think it's connecting with incredible organizations like you and what you started with Empathy for Autism. We do have the vendor relationships with Regional Center of Orange County, Inland Empire, and San Diego, and we're looking to expand those as well. We have some partnerships with Autism Society of Inland Empire, Orange County, and San Diego as well. And I think that's all good and great. I think what those community events offer is really what I'm most excited about. It's the opportunity to get in front of families and say, what do you need? Tell me what is needed and help me to understand so I know which of my resources to apply. And I think that is how we can better support this community. This is how we can learn how to advocate too, because that's a big part of it. There's a lot of new programs coming out of Regional Center right now that if we are in a place of knowing rather than learning real time, we're such a better resources for family that are already on services and those that are going to come on in the future. And I'm excited to get in. I want to host events this year. I want to create more awareness of what it looks like. I love the work that you do, especially in the employment space. I think that being accepted is one of the most valuable things a person can be gifted. And I want to create more space for that. And I know that when I look at what the team is doing, they want to help people live the highest quality of life they can. So wherever we have to be to accomplish that, we're going to be there. And I think that really starts with learning directly from the community.
That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you very much. And yeah, I mean, we did meet there and it's been an amazing partnership so far. And, here we are, highlighting care partners because they deserve to be highlighted. An organization that really comes in for the right reasons and does work for the right reasons will shine, regardless if you go to 2 to 3 or 5 to 10 outreaches, it all comes back with our families. We all talk as families. So,
Those family leaders.
so with that being said, word of mouth it goes a long way. And for families reaching out for the first time, what can they expect during the initial contact with your team?
You can expect us to pick up the phone and you're going to talk to a human. And you're going to talk to a human that cares. I cannot gush enough about the team. My hope is, no, I have a firm belief that you're going to hear someone on the phone who you immediately connect with. And you're going to tell them a little bit about where you are, what you might need. And then from there, if it's not that person immediately, you're going to be put in the hands of someone who can help. And we're going to ask a couple questions that might seem odd, but it helps us put all of the pieces together and what care needs are. And you're going to receive follow-up pretty timely. If we don't have an answer, we'll at least have an update. And yeah, you're going to hear pretty quickly. I think one of the best things is the team are huge advocates for each other. So when you get connected with Alicia, you're going to hear about NID. So that way you know how deep the intake team is. And then you're going to hear about Vanna and Hilda and Santi, all individuals that are going to help put caregivers in the home for you. And you're going to hear about Janet, who's going to call as soon as the authorization is ready to roll. And it's a team approach, which means we're going to cover all our bases.
And as a director, like I've spoken to a few organizations, but very few directors know everybody in their team by first name, especially when you guys start getting bigger. And the fact that you are that close to your team, it feels almost like a family. That care partners are a family trying to help families out there and support each other, which is, I mean, sadly, it's rare to see it sometimes in a lot of organizations out there. So I'm happy to have you here to share how Care Partners is run, and the culture you have. What advice do you often give new caregivers who feel overwhelmed or unsure where to begin?
Great question. I think nothing's permanent, right? Come from a loving place. And if you recognize that your intent and impact are out of alignment, that's okay. It's an opportunity to improve. I know that it's really a scary experience going into someone's home, and you might have questions about something that's in the care plan, or you might not know the details. It's okay to ask. And one of the things that I take a lot of pride in with the team that I've mentioned, put the pressure back on them too when you need help. When you feel like a care plan didn't set you up for success, be unafraid to let the office staff know you need help, right? You're out there in the field. You're the one that's client facing. You deserve to have all the support you need. But yeah, I think nothing is permanent. Everything is fixable, and leverage the office staff to help you mend anything that may need it.
That's great advice. And before we wrap up, are there any upcoming programs, initiatives, or opportunities that you would like to share with the community?
Man, there's a newsletter. I think that's where I should start because that's going to include a lot of it. We do put out a newsletter. It's going to kick up in January. You'll see that once a month. And that's going to talk about all of the events we're attending. We're going to have the opportunity to sponsor families to attend some of the events too, which I think is really powerful. But yeah, we're trying to position ourselves as a resource. I think that's the only way to be in this community, right? You've got to be able to support, and the depth in which you're able to do that, that's the goal, right? We want to be the one-stop shop that at least points you in the right direction and helps you feel received and understood.
Definitely.
Look out for that newsletter.
Definitely will. And then finally, how can families, professionals, and organizations get in contact with Care Partners?
Yeah, I think that's the fastest way to connect with us. It includes a lot of the information. It is going through a revamp right now. So there may be some sites or some parts of it that aren't super available, but we're coming back better than ever in 2026. And I think the website is where you can see what we're up to.
Okay, perfect. And just for our listeners, I will attach the website to the information of the podcast. So if you're interested, you're welcome to visit the website through that. And I'll also provide Monique's information so you can get in contact with her and her team. And then with that being said, Monique, thank you very much for sharing your expertise, your heart, the mission behind Care Partners with us today. Your work, I mean, it truly makes a difference for our families and many families in Southern California. So I can't thank you enough. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us for this episode of Voices Beyond the Spectrum Resource Hub Edition. For more resources and upcoming episodes and community programs, you can visit www.empathyforautismcalifornia.com or find all podcast links through our link tree. So we will see you next episode. Thank you. Have a great night. Thank you for listening to Voices Beyond the Spectrum Resource Hub Edition. We were honored to welcome Monique Arredondo, Executive Director of Care Partners, and are truly grateful for her time and for sharing insight into the resource and support available to families and caregivers. Lovely music by Brad Kalouv and Sophia Chinen. You can find Voices Beyond the Spectrum on all major podcast platforms. Until next time, remember you're not alone. Your voice matters and your story has power. Have a great one.